Hey guys, how's it going? It's Baggins here, and if you guys have not heard the news, tomorrow, September 9th, there is going to be a new beta for New World. This time it is an open beta rather than a closed beta. What this means is it will be free to play. There's no pre-order required in order to get into this one. So if you guys are interested, you can sign up in the link in the description down below. It'll take you to the Steam page. You should be able to sign up as soon as this video goes out. For information on what servers will be available, when the servers will go up, and when the servers will go down, I'll put a link to that in the description down below, but it is only going to run for 3 days. Unlike the closed beta, which was close to 2 weeks, this one is only a 3-day thing. It goes from September 9th to September 12th. So if this is your first time playing, or maybe you did play in the closed beta and you're playing again now, but there was still a few things that you weren't sure on, that's what today's video is going to help you guys with. We're going to be giving some tips and tricks, and we're also going to be answering a lot of questions that I saw crop up during the closed beta in both the Twitch chat and the YouTube comments. So if you guys enjoy this one, make sure you go ahead and click the like button, subscribe if you want to see more, and let's get on with the video. So my first trick when it comes to New World is utilizing the respawn mechanic of your camp. Very early on during the main story, you will be taught how to put a camp down on the ground, and this is a very valuable technique when it comes to doing quests in New World. I think one of the best applications of this is when you're doing the main storyline, you're talking to Jonas the Hermit or the Fisherman, and he sends you halfway up the map to read some inscriptions on the wall, and then you have to come halfway back down again to talk to him and tell him what happened, and then you have to go to another part of the map and then run all the way back again. And we're talking about half an hour's trek both that way and then back again. But what you can do is put your camp down next to Jonas or any other quest giver in the game, provided they're not in a settlement. You can't actually put your camp in a settlement, but you could put it outside the walls. And then you can run off, complete the quest, and rather than run all the way back, you can go into the menu and click the respawn option and then choose to respawn at your camp. And this means that rather than having to run all the way back, you'll just be instantly teleported back to where the quest giver was, and then you can hand it in. It is worth mentioning this doesn't work with PvP quests, as those are failed automatically when you die, but for everything else in the game, and like I say, the main storyline in particular, this is a very, very useful tip, especially if you're going to be limited on time. You want to get to experience a bit of New World, but we've only got 3 days to play. This is going to be a very valuable tip, and I highly implore you guys to make use of it. Unless you're interested in, exploring every single corner of the map and gathering everything you run by, this is just going to save you a lot of time in the long run. Now, my second tip for the New World open beta is to utilize gems. This was another thing that seemed to be a bit of a shrouded in mystery for some players, is the gem system in the game. It's not really explained at any point during the tutorial, but when you get to like level 15 onwards, you're going to start seeing pieces of gear that have these little socket slots in them. And in those slots, you can put gems. There are a variety of different gems in the game. You're going to be seeing some of them on the screen here. And the gems have 2 different effects. It's worth noting that the top effect is always what happens when you apply it to your weapon, and the bottom effect is what happens when you socket it into your gear. Now, where can I find gems, Baggins? Well, if you want to find them out in the world, you want to acquire them on your own, you're going to need to level up your mining skill a little bit and go and mine either silver or gold ore. I think there's a chance that you can also get them from iron ore, but for me, the most readily available was from silver ore onwards. When you mine into the ore node, you have a chance of getting these flawed gems here, and you can take the flawed gems over to a stone cutter and polish them up or cut them with motes, and motes can be gathered by harvesting, usually harvesting magical plants. So again, as you can see on the screen here, I'm harvesting a magical plant, I receive the motes, and then I can take those to the stone cutter and polish them up. Once I have the cut or polished gemstone, I can then go ahead and socket it into my gear and receive a whole variety of different bonuses, but generally it is either going to make you survive longer or help you to do more damage. So just in the grand scheme of things, gems are a great thing to use on your gear. If you're looking for a specific video on how gems work and which ones to socket in which weapons and what to do for certain builds, I will have eventually a gem video out. I'll put a link to it up in the top right when that video is ready to go. But if you do want to make sure that you don't miss out on that one, make sure you go ahead and click the subscribe button, get notified when all of the new videos come out here on the channel. One quick thing that I do want to mention as well, if you're looking for an easier way to acquire gems, it's probably worth just going to the trading post, especially if you're in Everfall or Windsward. There's a high likelihood that people are going to be selling some of their unused gems over there in the refined resources section, and then you just look at cut gemstones and you should be able to find them there. Now, while we're on the topic of acquiring good gear, as I'm sure many of you guys know, you can get pretty decent quality gear from your faction vendor. You guys have probably been to the faction representative in the settlement, as the main storyline encourages you to do it. The faction representative can sell you a whole variety of different gear, but some of it is locked, and the way that you can unlock this gear is by gaining reputation with your faction. So just by doing the PvE or PvP quests, you will gain reputation, and at a certain point, once you reach a milestone, I think it's 3,000 reputation for the first unlock for the level 20 gear, it'll then send you to a location depending on which faction you've chose. So for the Covenant, it's Brightwood. For the Marauders, they send you to Cutlass Keys. Not quite sure what it is for the Syndicate, but if you open up your journal, and you can see where the quest wants you to go. Now, if you don't have the reputation, it'll just tell you, get the reputation. It'll also say that the quest requires you to be level 20, or that's the recommended level. You can do it a few levels under, but yeah, that's the secret to this one. In order to unlock the next tier of gear, you just have to get your reputation all the way maxed up to the threshold, which you'll see on the screen here. That's the threshold meter. And then once you're at that point, you can then do the quest, which you should see in your journal. It'll send you to a settlement and have you do a quest or a mission for the representative within that settlement. On the topic of gaining faction rep and faction tokens, one of the best and fastest ways you can do this is at the Eastburn Outpost. This is located a little bit further in the north of the map, so this is a higher level region. If you want to be safe, it's a good idea to be like 35 or level 40 to do these, but you could certainly get away with it at a much lower level because the quests don't actually require you to do anything other than run to a spot, pick up the drop, and then take the drop over to another location, drop it down there, and chop down some trees while you're in the area. Now, this whole time, there is a third quest which wants you to stand in the area for 1 minute 30, but you'll just naturally do that by running around and chopping the trees and delivering the secured asset. It is worth mentioning that these are PvP quests, so you will have to be PvP flagged in order to do these. But as I mentioned, the secured asset, chopping down trees, holding an area, doesn't technically require you to do any PvP. So if you are a bit scared, a bit wary of fighting other players, it's not technically required, but it is an incredibly fast way to gain both faction rep and faction tokens. I think the average run probably takes about 5 minutes. You can get somewhere in the region of 3,000 to 4,000 tokens for each quest hand in. So yeah, it just ends up being like one of the fastest ways to gain rep and gain tokens in the game that I'm aware of right now. And then as a result of that, provided you've done those reputation unlocks, you can go ahead and buy a bunch of fantastic gear with the tokens that you've just earned. My last tip or trick for the New World Open Beta is if you guys are interested in crafting, if you're focused on crafting, also going to the Eastburn Outpost and this north area of the map is going to be very valuable for you, especially if you're looking to get into crafting within like the first 24 hours of the game. You want to get ahead of everybody and craft some really nice tier 3 items, like the bags, for instance. Those are going to sell for a lot of gold during the open beta and indeed on the release as well. So yeah, if you guys do want to get ahead, you're most likely going to have to go to these northern regions, as every other settlement in the area, until it is controlled by a player and they opt to upgrade the crafting stations within the area, they're only going to be tier 2. So crafting tier 3 or tier 4 or higher requires a tier 3, tier 4 or higher workbench. But it does so happen that these crafting stations are tier 3 in this area. They are permanently tier 3 even from the start of the game. So if you are somebody who is looking to jump into a spot of crafting very early on, this is again another spot that you want to be. So yeah guys, those are my quick tips and tricks. Hopefully answers some questions that people have about the open beta. If there's anything you guys are particularly curious about, anything you guys want to know, let me know in the comments down below. If we see enough of the same questions, I'll make sure to make a video on it to help you guys out with it. Let me know what you guys are going to be doing during the open beta. Is anything in particular you guys are going to be focusing on? For me, I think I'm going to be doing a lot of PvP, so if you want to see that, put a link to the stream in the description down below. We're going to be live for like 15, 16 hours every day during the open beta, so it's going to be a pretty wild one. I'd love to see you guys there. Of course, if you enjoyed this video, make sure you go ahead and click the like button, subscribe if you want to see more, and I'll see you guys all in the next one.